Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, the best place for youth, parents, and educators to learn about soft skills and education. Now in this mini-series, I compare public and private schools in a variety of ways to inform your decision on whether public school is best for you or private school is best for you. And in this video, I specifically compare their educational philosophies and whether that aligns with your needs. And so if you haven't checked out the previous video yet, be sure to check out the cards above and watch the first video, because in that video, I give a breakdown of the situation in Ontario and how public schools and private schools really differ. I'm using the case of Ontario to describe the broader picture around the world. So even if you're in a totally different country, watching this mini-series would help you because it will inform you on the variety of things you need to consider when it comes to public or private education. So be sure to watch the previous video before continuing onto this one. Now, Ontario's public education's philosophy is grounded on the ideology of equity and multiculturalism. Public education in general is about offering the best education possible to the greatest number of people. It's about raising everybody. And so the good thing about education in Ontario and most public systems is that they are all about measuring learning outcomes. So they keep tabs on measuring learning outcomes because it informs them on next steps and it informs them on public policy. So that's one great thing about public education. Ontario's public education system does a great job of providing a top-notch education for its students while also maintaining a very high standard in terms of its special education. So in the last video, I discussed how it shares resources and how it benefits everyone. In addition, it's very much aligned with Canada's multicultural agenda that it's had since the 1960s. So it's all about inclusivity and helping people who are new to the country integrate better into Canada. And in that sense, it's a great thing. However, the goal of equity sometimes may be confusing. So I like to make a differentiation between equality of opportunity and equality of outcome. Now, the equality of opportunity, as its name implies, it's about helping students have the same opportunity. It's about making sure that they all have the same opportunity to enroll in the class, to graduate, to get a fair education. Now that sometimes gets confused with the quality of outcome. And one famous illustration for that I'll put up here is the three kids standing at a fence and looking over the fence. And the equality of outcome is about making sure they all stand at the same level. And the equality of opportunity is making sure they all get a chance to stand at the fence. Now, whether they are able to look over the fence or not, it's really up to them, whether they're willing to put in the effort or not. Now, in some cases, there are people who really do have these special needs, and public education is able to level the playing field for them. On the other hand, this gets confused a lot. So people who don't put in the effort sometimes may get that support as well. So we need to be very careful when it comes to discussing the equality of opportunity and the equality of outcome. So I want to use the example of Baythorn Public School in the York Region District School Board. Now, before I discuss Baythorn, I want to preface it with the fact that this story was actually reported in the public newspapers. So it's not me snooping and spilling the beans or whatnot. It's actually publicly reported. Now, Baythorn's art program was well known in the neighborhood and a lot of kids want to go in. And so because of the high demand, Baythorn actually needed to filter its students. And so every year for its grade 4 and 5 intake, they actually hold what they used to call auditions. So students can go and learn about the program and apply and see if they're a good fit or not. Now in 2012, some critics came out and said the program needs to shut down. And the reason for that is because they perceived it as elitist and that only about 25% of the students who auditioned actually passed and got in. And so they felt it was not equitable, it was not fair, it was elitist, and they needed to shut it down. Now, after a lot of back and forth and press coverage and all of that jazz, the school was finally able to justify its program because its argument was that it's filtering students who learn best through arts. So it's about differentiated learning, it's about multiple intelligences, it's about who learns best through arts. However, they had to change all the wording from audition and screening and filtering, and they have to frame it in a way that it's not elitist. And essentially, this whole disagreement comes down to two schools of thought. The critics who believe in the equality of outcome, and the school who believes in the equality of opportunity. And in this regard, the equality of outcome argument essentially discourages a lot of public schools from stepping outside of the norm and trying to build excellent programs that specialize in some regard, because it's basically not as tolerated. Nonetheless, there are some schools in the Toronto District School Board or York Region District School Board or across Ontario that essentially have to struggle with the tension between equality of outcome and equality of opportunity. And so this is one major consideration when it comes to the educational philosophy of public schools. On the other hand, as I discussed in the previous video, a private school's educational philosophy is generally intertwined with its specialization, its niche. And so this includes enrichment programs such as the International Baccalaureate program, the Advanced Placement program, the Cambridge curriculum. All of these are enrichment programs. Educational philosophies may also differ based on proprietary approaches. So for example, Montessori is one, the Waldorf system is one. Basically, these are proprietary approaches that are not adopted in mainstream public education. The educational philosophy of private schools may also differ based on what they want to emphasize. There are private schools out there that emphasize technology, athletics, boarding, small classroom sizes, or pretty much anything else. So basically, it depends on their niche again. There are also private schools that are based on other things such as gender or age groups, or whether the student is gifted or not, whether they have special needs or not. And finally, there are also religious considerations. So whether the school is Jewish or Christian or Muslim, all these things come into play. So ultimately, it depends on whether the family aligns with the educational philosophy of the school or not. Public education's goals of equity and diversity and multiculturalism, these things matter less in a private school setting. Parents who have the means to send their kids to these schools in the first place tend to be in a different socioeconomic stratum to begin with. And so they embody a different attitude than their working class or middle class peers. And so at the end of the day, the goal is to provide the best educational experience possible to the students through their educational philosophy. And this is a critical point when it comes to making a decision between public or private schools for people. In the next video, I'm going to be comparing the educators in public and private schools. So if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so that you are notified when that video comes out. And also, if you like the video, hit the like button and leave a comment below if you have any questions. Take care.